Social media for me has been something that I kept my eye on for many years. People say timing is everything. I saw social media beginning to climb because some of my clients were at Harvard University and they were playing football, basketball, baseball, different sports at Harvard University. They kept talking about this way of communicating, and it was the Facebook. And all of a sudden, this communication portal opened up that I thought was fascinating. And I had the ability to use that portal very early on in sending them workouts and communicating with them. And so my eyes opened up to that means of business to business or B2C and B2B communication.
The following is brought to you by Thryv, the end-to-end client experience platform that helps you get the job, manage the job, and get credit.
Hey, this is Gordon Henry at Winning on Main Street, and this week you get to meet Stephen Bienko. Stephen is the CEO of 42G, a social media marketing agency. He's the former CEO of Fownders, that's Fownders, which helps startups scale and helps future entrepreneurs in the city of Newark, New Jersey. Stephen's been an inspirational business speaker for like a decade, and looks too young for that, but he's been doing it for a while. And he was the largest franchise owner of College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving in the country. Welcome, Stephen.
Thank you, Gordon. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on the show today. And I've been around business for quite some time. It's amazing when you start looking back as to when everything all began. And it's such an honor and a pleasure to begin sharing some of those, what I call the business ups and downs, highs and lows over the course of time that individuals who jump into that head first always experience. And I think one of the most important things about going through business experiences is the opportunity to share some of that wisdom that's been taken on head first in the world of business. So always hear and enjoy sharing some of my experiences and what I've taken over the course of the years.
Great. Well, I gotta just jump in on this College Hunks thing because it's so interesting. You were the largest franchise owner in that system. How did that come about?
In a very strange, odd way. I was watching a reality TV show, and honestly, I was watching a reality TV show, and it's very, very early on in its infancy. And they were Nick and Omar Solomon, the founders of College Hunks, were very media savvy and always have been. And they were on a dating reality TV show. And I saw that. I was sitting there watching, and I'd already been in the conversation because I saw some writing on the wall regarding Starbucks. And I had spoken to a barista at Starbucks. And this is, we're talking 2007, 8. And I'm talking to a barista at Starbucks, and they're explaining to me how they have a master's degree and they're currently not using their master's degree in the field of study. They've chosen to work at Starbucks because they wanted to live that lifestyle and they weren't interested in actually pursuing some of the work within their master's. And they loved the knowledge and information, but they wanted to serve in a different way. To me, I thought that was fascinating. And I had heard that a couple of times, and I had experienced and saw that in my own self to say, I love to be out. I love working with my hands. I love being outside. I don't want to be behind a desk. And so when you see that, I thought, well, if there's one person that wants to feel that way, there's probably thousands of young people that feel that same way. And just around the same time, I had seen that TV show, the reality show. And it just rung a bell in my head. So I actually picked up the phone at that moment and called. And one of the founders answered the phone. And from there, we began to talk. I believe at the time, there was 5 or 6 franchisees who were currently part of the system, all family friends. And I came on as one of the very first non-family friend purchasers of the franchise. And I saw that there was a massive opening in that market of waste hauling in people's homes and providing an opportunity for young people to experience a job that did not require them sitting directly behind a desk and can make an impact in people's lives. And you might think, make an impact in people's lives, hauling junk. No, because if you think about this, and then we crossed over, sorry, I'll recap here. We crossed over and I developed the moving portion. So now it's College Hunks Hauling Junk and Moving. I developed that moving portion because those two areas are the two most stressful times in people's lives. Because when someone is purging or they're moving, the main reasons for someone moving are death and divorce.
Right.
Stressful periods of time in life, right?
Yeah,
Those are the number two reasons that people are moving. And for hauling and purging, it also follows that. The children leaving the home, selling the home, getting a divorce, going through a death, right? Or losing a job and getting rid of everything. Those are times of extreme stress. And what not a better time to have intelligent, energetic, caring people go into someone's home and understand that they're going through an impactful time of their life. And so that began my experience at College Hunks, and I had a great opportunity around some amazing people and got very lucky to be able to grow into multiple markets throughout the country.
Yeah, that's great. Now, you've also been involved with this company, Fownders, again, Fownders, if somebody wants to look it up. It's a business incubator for entrepreneurs in Newark. And I know you've been very involved with entrepreneurs and young people getting started in Newark and in New Jersey. Tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. That company was founded by a gentleman by the name of Gerard Adams. Gerard Adams also founded Elite Daily. And he's a Jersey guy and really salt of the earth, family, an individual who did really well for himself. And he didn't have a lot of opportunities in life. And he excelled, and when he excelled financially, he met tremendous people around the world, and his opportunities continued to grow. And he had that mission in mind that there were brilliant minds and brilliant companies to be discovered and supported in some of our key urban markets. And the reason why that I got involved is that I saw that need. Because when you're developing a product, it's normally developed and it's because of a need or a pain point. And a lot of times people who are in tough areas, tough socioeconomic backgrounds, they go through the most pain and needs in life. And we're missing so much of that because so much of our great organizations are generally not from people in need. They're great ideas, they're brilliant, but some of our true needs in life come from people who are going through those exact same experiences. So we looked at it and said, well, why don't we go to a city within New Jersey where we both live and impact that urban community? So individuals there who had tremendous ideas because of a real need in their community had an opportunity to be impacted by somebody like Gerard Adams and his contacts. And we developed an incubator accelerator, and we would have a cohort each quarter. We had a cohort of 12 different companies that would come in from the city and from multiple areas. And what that also did was Newark was a thriving, newly growing economic center that was previously an economic hub years and years ago, especially before the Newark riots in 1967, and such a hub for economic growth. And it has seen such an uplift, and we want to be part of that in the youthful market and draw attention as an entrepreneurial hub for founding companies to come, not just go through the cohort, but one of our objectives was to stay there, stay in Newark, use some of the great other additional accelerators that are in the city of Newark to continue growth, some of the great investors that are around that area and some of the great capital groups to continue to expand those small companies. So what a great experience there, and some tremendous companies that came from the city of Newark, surrounding areas, and other states as well.
Yeah, that's great. So your current company, 42 Growth Strategies, focuses on social media marketing for small businesses. Explain what you do there and why you got into that business.
You know, social media for me has been something that I kept my eye on for many years. People say timing is everything. And when I was in one of my previous businesses, it was athletic training. And this is back, and you're talking 2000, 2001. And I saw social media beginning to climb because some of my current clients were at Harvard University and they were playing football, basketball, baseball, different sports at Harvard University. And they kept talking about this way of communicating, and it was the Facebook, right? All those eons ago. And it was timely. Got very lucky in the fact that it was the right time to begin learning about this. And I saw that writing as a real interesting way of communicating, because before then I was trying to send workouts to these individuals who were up at school, and literally was trying to send it through email, but email wasn't what it was before. Text messaging was definitely not like it is today. And all of a sudden this communication portal opened up that I thought was fascinating. And I had the ability to use that portal very early on in sending them workouts and communicating with them. And so my eyes opened up to that means of business to business, or B2C and B2B communication early on. So I kept my eye on the social parameter for multiple years. And the eye-opening experience for me is seeing it as a new business opportunity when it came to management. And it's funny, it's corny, it's quirky, but when I saw my mother using Facebook, I knew it was over.
Yeah.
When I saw that happen, then I established, okay, it's adaptive. Its adaptability rate is extremely high. So now the impact that small businesses can have based upon social media, doing it the right way, can be exponential and actually move the dial, because the product, AKA their customer, is truly there now. Before it was people who were interested in new technology, and most people looked at it as crazy and nutty. I still remember to this day, it was probably I want to say maybe 2010, 2011, maybe later than that, 13 maybe. Actually, no, it was 2014. I was giving a speech with Gary Vaynerchuk, Gary V, and we were on stage at Full Sail University down in Orlando, Florida. And he was doing his show, as always entertaining people at a high level. And he asked people in the stands, who's on this platform and that platform. And at that time, we're talking 2013, 2014, barely anybody was raising their hands. Right? And it was a room full of realtors. And he was screaming at them and saying, how could you not be on these platforms right now? What is wrong with you people? And even at that day and age, it's still, the adaptive rate was still extremely low, right? And in certain circles, it was very high, but on the general customer, very low. When I saw that change, I saw that market open up, saying the time is now that small businesses are going to need to be here. And it's the most effective way to communicate directly with their customers and add value to them, to then have that turn into a long-standing serviceable client. However, being a business owner for many, many years, since I was 21 years old, I knew that also that's not what you need to be focusing on as a small business owner. You need to focus on your customer directly, your product directly, your bricks and mortar building directly. You can't be constantly worried and concerned about doing this to a level that's actually going to produce an ROI. So from there, it was a determination of offering that service to supply to small and mid-sized or emerging brands, because the market is available and is the very best way for them to communicate directly with their customer.
Yeah, makes sense. But you haven't always been in business. You were in sports, right? You played football as an undergrad at Villanova. You hold the record there, I understand, for discus throwing, and then you went into the military. You were in the Air Force Academy, and you became a cop in New Jersey. Tell us about your background and why you moved from sports into business.
Well, sports was always a part of my life. It still is today. I think once you are involved in the sports mindset, it becomes a lifestyle. And this is something that, if there's any parents listening here, which I'm sure there are, with young children that are playing sports. And if I can give a little bit of advice, I'm giving this advice from an athlete, a washed up athlete, but also a parent that has young children who are moving through the worlds of sports. Sports is one of the greatest ways to teach the necessary disciplines that lead to success in business and life, especially family, which is that's the most important part about life, right? Is your family and how you are going to navigate, support, and guide your family. Sports was always very important to me. And for any of those parents who are thinking about it, or should I let my child be really involved in this sport, and this is getting to be too much, or I can't believe all these different things that they're doing, and there's so many practices. And I want to leave you with this a little bit, is that those practices, when you're in a great system, when you're with a great mentor, when you're around great kids and part of a great community, it is truly a foundation that can build the blocks that are needed to truly support a young person's life into adulthood, to help them formulate the right decisions, understand how to work with people, understand how to negotiate, understand the chorus of values, how to work hard, and also how to deal with failure. And that's one of the biggest things that sports presented to me early on, was how to deal with failure. And in sports, I failed all the time, because unless you are victorious in that sport on a daily basis, there's some failure. And when you have great coaches, you're never really succeeding at all times. That coach is always on you to keep improving, and work on becoming the best version of yourself. And it truly builds a foundation for your child. And sports for me was something that my parents got me into early on, and rose through the ranks, and was lucky enough to have some good success there, enough success for that to carry over into my college experiences. And yes, I had a great opportunity to have scholarships to college, and that's great. But if that's not the route, it does open up the door for opportunity. And opportunity becomes everything that you want your child to have, options in life. It opens their door to say, let me look at this school over here, or let this be the driving force for me to do better academically, because I really want to go to that school over there. And I know I'm good enough to play, but I also need to be a good enough student to get into that school. And it's another driving force for a young person to do well. And I got lucky enough to go out of college. I got lucky enough to go to the Air Force Academy, played football and ran track at the United States Air Force Academy. And then for personal reasons, had to make a decision to leave. And I ended up at Villanova University, where I also played football and ran track and finished up my career there at Villanova. But sports has always carried me through many facets of life. And I constantly look back at that. And even today, and I'll give this little quick tidbit here, there's a lot we've been talking about in my office about how to run a great company. And I coach youth football, Pop Warner football, 8 and 9-year-olds right now. It's one of the greatest things. And I coach in East Orange, New Jersey. It's one of the toughest areas in New Jersey. And my brother-in-law and I are there, and he played in the NFL for a bunch of years. And so we're trying to add a lot of support to these great young kids in East Orange. And one of the things that we talk about the young kids is love, commitment, and trust. And we use that with them every single day of practice, multiple times a day. Love, commitment, trust. And I'm implementing that into our work environment as well, and making use of that strength of love. And in the terminology that you can use love in the work environment just as much as you can use in the sports environment and the home environment. It means you care. And when you care about something, you're committed to it. And then the feeling of someone else knowing that you care and knowing that you're committed to the organization, committed to them, it then develops a sense of trust. And when that trust is developed, that's when you win, because that's when you can solve some of the challenges you have, and have some of the hardest conversations that you can possibly have in an organization, on a sports field, or in a family. When you have love, commitment, and trust, you can have those hard conversations that prompts growth. When you don't have those three areas, it's always questioned as to, well, why is that person reprimanding me at work? Why are they pushing me harder? Why are they questioning my work ethic? Why are they questioning me on this here? Or in the home life, that, you're trying to make your spouse or your child a better person. And they don't feel that love, commitment, and trust. They look at you like, oh, you're always on me. You're always nagging me. You're always on my case. Instead of realizing that with love, commitment, and trust, emphatically in your heart that what they're relaying to you is truly on the same mission as they are on, to be better in life. And it truly comes from the heart because they do love you, they are committed, and you trust them.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And that's one of the greatest things that I've been able to take away from the sports environment. We're pushing this to 8 and 9-year-olds right now to absorb that in their lifestyle so that they understand that with love, commitment, and trust, you can truly become the very best version of yourself.
Yeah. We're going to take a quick 30-second break, and we'll be back with more from Steven Bienko.
Looking for that next spark of inspiration to take your business to the next level? Thryv, the leading software for small business, presents Connect 21. The year's leading small business conference for entrepreneurs like yourself will feature some of today's most successful business leaders, industry pioneers, and software experts. Hear from a lineup of inspirational speakers including Ramon Ray, founder of SmartHustle.com and author of 4 books, including Celebrity CEO, and Jonathan Morris, Texas-based entrepreneur and host of the newest show from Magnolia Network, Self-Employed. You'll have the opportunity to participate in educational breakout sessions with small business experts and leading executives from Merrill Lynch, AudioEye, and others. So grab a cup of coffee and join us for this virtual interactive event on November 10th and 11th. This is the small business conference you won't want to miss. Register now at www.thryv.com/connect. That's THRYV.com/connect. Come to connect. Leave inspired.
We're back with Steven Bienko. Steven, you've been also involved in sports marketing. We were just talking about sports. You worked with 2008 Olympic gold medalist in the decathlon, Brian Clay, who I guess appeared on a couple of Wheaties boxes in one year. Tell us about your sports marketing experience. How did you make Brian Clay such a big success?
Again, timing and sometimes luck comes along in life and business, but it's you being prepared for that, which allows you to take that opportunity and run with it. And I got really lucky with meeting Brian Clay, and I was working and supporting a young athlete that I was trying to help out, and he was looking to attend Azusa Pacific University, which is in Azusa, California, and I had the opportunity to go out there a few times, and Brian Clay, the decathlete and former silver medalist in the 2004 Olympic Games, went to school there, and that's where his training was under the tutelage of his coach, Kevin Reed. And so I went out there with this young man and stayed a couple of days, and I happened to be able to strike a conversation with Brian. And one thing led to another, and he was looking for opportunities to build his financial pot and his support as he headed into the 2008 Olympic Games. And I saw some tremendous opportunities for him to share his story. And I truly believe in the impact that people can have on others, especially when you are placed in that limelight where you have the opportunity to be, whether it's a thought leader, a business leader, an athletic leader. The impact you can have on people's lives is so massive. And hearing Brian Clay's story coming from a person that maybe did a couple things wrong early on in life and transitioned himself into becoming a better man and then a better athlete can really resonate with a lot of us. He wasn't a perfect human being his whole life. And I saw that transition and that story to be told and communicated with him about that. And yes, he was a tremendous athlete, and he ended up winning the gold medal in the decathlon, which declared him as the greatest athlete in the world at that time. And what I was able to do with him is simply tell a story. And tell a story about this man that lived a certain way, had certain values, cared about his family, worked hard, didn't always have things handed to him in life, but grew from the experiences he had. And I thought that really spoke and resonated with a lot of people. And I wanted him to be seen as who he was and not create him into something that's not what he is doing on a daily basis, and really hold tight to that. And I think that worked. I think that worked, and he continues to carry that on today. He's got a tremendous new company out there, franchise called Eat the Frog. It's a fitness company. It's growing like wildflowers. So proud of him and what he's developed and what he's created for himself since the Olympic Games. But the success of that came with telling a story, and there's a story behind him being on the Wheaties box as well. That wasn't the original choice of General Mills. Shawn Johnson was the original choice of General Mills coming out of 2008 Olympic Games. And we had to tell a story. And so I just picked up that phone and I called the representative at General Mills over and over again. I reached out to his community, which we built, of people that truly embraced him, not just fair weather fans of, oh, he's a great athlete. But people that truly admired him as a person, as a man, as a father, as a husband, as a community person, as a Hawaiian, all these people from his tribal community that he built up really reached out to them and said, tell your story to General Mills about Brian.
Yeah.
And they flooded that voice message, and they made that change, and they put him on the cover of the Wheaties box. And we had another opportunity for him to be on thereafter.
We just have a few minutes left. I have a couple last questions for you. First of all, you had this very interesting job. You were New Jersey State Trooper for a while. So I assume you were the guy who pulled me over on I-95 and gave me the ticket. and I just got, everybody who gets pulled over has a story. What was like one of the wildest stories you heard? Was it the pregnant woman going to the hospital? Like, there's always something, right?
Oh, there's always something. I would say probably the craziest story is that I was in New Jersey in Essex County on 280. It was in the Roseland, Livingston area, if anybody knows those areas in New Jersey.
Yep.
I was in a cut coming down a hill. A guy came by at about 90 miles an hour, and pulled the guy over, and I come up to the car, and he rolls down the window and he's just holding onto the wheel. He's very nervous. And I look down and I look back in his eyes, and he looks at me with these bright eyes. And I'm like, sir, where are your pants? And his only story at the time was, I had to rush out of the house. And I said, but sir, you have no pants on. I know, I had to rush out of the house. And then I came back to him and so, can you explain to me why you're going 90 miles an hour? And he said back to me, no, sir, I can't explain that. So, I mean, it was probably, there are plenty of interesting stories, but that was one of the ones that really just kind of blew my mind. The man had no pants on. He's just sitting in the car with no pants on and just driving 90 miles an hour down the highway.
Crazy. So just to wrap this up, I did want to focus on your interest in youth and entrepreneurship. I know you're very focused on youth, and I think there's a lot of people wondering, what's the right path for a young person who's interested in going to do something entrepreneurial? Should they go to college? Should they pursue a business degree? Should they go to technical school? Should they just start a company and not go to college? Any thoughts on that?
Wow. Gordon, can we do another session on that? That is, honestly, that's one of the areas that I am extremely passionate about right now. And, I may ruffle some feathers with this, but I truly believe that this day and age, that if you have a young, thriving child that is truly driven and has a great outlook on life and has tremendous ideas, I suggest that you push them towards an entrepreneurial lifestyle and have them get involved with a business, with a company early on. help them find some mentors, help them find some guidance, encourage them to begin starting their own small business. Because honestly, and I don't take anything away from our great institutions, but there's certain methodologies of school that have to be taught and are there. And building a business, building a brand, you won't find that in school. You find that in the organizations, you find that with business people, you find that going to work and reading contracts and negotiating contracts and listening to them and brainstorming ideas and understanding how the financial markets in business actually work, understand consumer products, understand communication with employees and team members. Those become skill sets that just cannot be taught in college. And today's world of where we've advanced with technology, and I know if you're a parent and your children a little bit older and that was traditional for you, I'm sorry, but get it out of your head because the world has changed. And because we've had so many great inventions in technology, we've been able to forward and progress ourselves so much. There are so many resources out there right now. And you can't take away from it. You can go on YouTube, or you can go to a master's class, or you can go to a podcast with Gordon, and you can learn so much just from that versus the economic impact you can have on yourself at a university when it may just not be needed. Now, our scientists, our engineers, our medical professionals, 100% absolutely we need that. And you need that thorough education to learn that craft through and through. But if your child, your son or daughter is interested in business and has an entrepreneurial mindset or a great thinking mind, let them go experience that right away. Number one, you will save a whole lot of money. They will be impacted early on, very early in their careers. And it's amazing how much we can do at young ages. I have 19 and 20-year-olds in our company that have real roles every single day. They close deals. They close $100,000 deals at 20 years old. And they absorb that mentorship and that guidance, and their brains are so thirsty and open to it. They don't have the bad habits. They get the experience right away, and they truly are impactful. So I am a big proponent that if someone does understand work ethic, if they do have a great mind, they're coachable, they want to learn, I'm a major proponent of letting them go and experience them. Because guess what? You can always take classes. You can go to the county college. You can go to some of the local universities, and you can online. You can take courses if you need specific skill sets. And these days now, the online programs are phenomenal. But not everybody needs that full college experience. Not everybody can afford it. And I think we've set ourselves back so much because we've placed that bar at that level, and people feel like they have to do that and they have to spend this money. And so many of our young people are in debt because of that. And yes, some do need it, but others never had to get themselves in that debt. And they also lost time where they could have been learning a craft, a skill, a business, or building their own. I'm hopeful to start a program soon that encourages parents and families to let their children not go to school and pursue entrepreneurial initiatives.
Yeah, great stuff. Well, that's some really good food for thought, and I know that's a question on a lot of people's minds. So thanks for that advice, and thanks for stopping by today, Stephen. We're about out of time, but it was great to have you on the show. And for those of you who like what you heard with Stephen, Stephen will be appearing at the Thrive Connect 21 conference, which is a virtual conference you can sign up for on November 10th and 11th. And just go to thrive.com and look for that Thrive Connect button, and you'll be able to sign up for that. And again, it's a virtual conference. Stephen, if people want to find you just directly, where's the best place for them to go?
At our Instagram handle, at 42growth, the number 42growth. That's the best way. On Twitter, at Stephen Bienko as well. And then on LinkedIn, Stephen Bienko, STEPHENBIENKO, are 3 ways to get in touch and reach out.
Awesome. Well, thanks again. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please tell a friend or colleague to subscribe, and please leave us a 5-star review. We'd really appreciate it. Until next time, make it a great week.